Guys, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at the 2001 French comedy, The Closet, directed by Francis Veber, and I apologize for the pronunciation of his name and the subsequent people I'm about to name. Starring Daniel Auteuil, Gerard Depardieu, Thierry Lhermitte, Michel Aumont, and Michel Laroque. And I don't know what it is about this film, but I've watched it about 3 times in the past year. Be it I have shown it twice to two groups. And I don't know, it's a really good film. And it's it's a nice little transition I like to use to get people into French cinema, because at the end of it, yeah, it does leave you in a feel-good mood. And I don't know, it's very simple. I like it. Here it is. The Closet follows Francis Pignon, played by Daniel Auteuil, an accountant in one of France's premier condom production factories. Pignon is a very bland man who lives a dull existence. He's 2 years divorced and still in love with his ex-wife, and has a 17-year-old son who doesn't have time for him. Unfortunately, to make things worse, Pignon discovers he is about to be fired. Alone and with no one to turn to, he contemplates taking his life, until his next-door neighbour interferes and comes up with a scheme to prevent him being fired. The scheme? Spreading the rumour he's gay by sending in some anonymous pictures to prevent the factory from firing him on the grounds of sexual discrimination.
Qu'est-ce que c'est ça?
C'est vous, avec un ami. On va mélanger tout ça. Vous allez voir, on fait des miracles avec le numérique.
What do you know? The scheme works, but with a new persona comes side effects. Out of the closet and out of his comfort zone, Pignon's life is turned upside down. Overnight, he is transformed from the boring accountant to the interesting and alluring Pignon.
On l'a vu au bois cette nuit. Monsieur Robert du marketing, il passait en voiture, il a vu dans ses phares à moitié à poil.
Oh,
Bonjour! Regardez-moi cette folle.
ça va?
Très bien, et vous?
Je dois passer à la maintenance, je vous retrouve tout à l'heure.
À tout de suite. Paraît qu'il drague Didier, le petit stagiaire, un gamin d'à peine 16 ans.
Je me dépêche.
In a series of subsequent events, Pignon is chosen as the mascot for the company in the gay and lesbian parade, he gets beat up by homophobics, he rebuilds his relationship with his son, and he falls in love. Now, those of you that are familiar with Francis Veber's filmography will be very attuned to the name Francis Pignon. Why? Because he uses it in all his films, and he's most entitled to do that because I think he writes them all. So it's usually the main character. So if you ever watch a movie and you hear that name, you're probably watching or have watched a Francis Veber movie. Go check out his filmography. He's made a little series with Gerard Depardieu, who's also in this film, in the 80s. There were 3 films that he made with Gerard Depardieu. They're excellent. I can't remember them off the top of my head. Actually I can. Les Fugitives, Les Chèvres, and Les Comprises. Hey, that's them. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation once again. Definitely check those out. In particular, you might recognize Les Fugitives. That was remade in the 90s called the Three Fugitives with Nick Nolte and Martin Short. And I saw that film in the 90s, so I've been watching Francis Veber's career my entire life, and I really enjoyed that in the 90s. It's just goofy, it's got Martin Short in it. It's definitely watch. And there's, you know, Martin Short, I don't know, there's something about Martin Short's career. I like that movie. And there's that other one in the 90s with Danny Glover. I can't remember it. There's something about fishing or something. No, that's a Joe Pesci movie. There's a Danny Glover and Martin Short movie as well. It's very goofy. Yeah, I like Martin Short. Alright, getting back to the point we're going to be talking about, The Closet. I watched this movie with a few friends, as I mentioned earlier, and the latter group, we had a little bit of a discussion. Heated? No. But we had a discussion. And one of the guys was a little disappointed. All the groups I've watched it with, they enjoyed the movie. But he enjoyed it, but he wasn't crazy about it, and he wanted me to give it a star rating. And you know me, if you've watched my other reviews, I'm not into giving it 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10, or a star. I like to say a movie's good or it's bad. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And getting back to the point, he just felt it was a little bit too self-contained. It wasn't, lavish, like tons of locations, tons of sets. Like a James Bond movie where there's like hundreds of different locations. He felt a little bit bored. And I don't know, I think that's a negative in his opinion. But in my opinion, it's a positive. Definitely with this director, Francis Veber, because he uses the locations really well and he has a small budget. And his movies aren't about all these lavish locations, all these special effects. His movies are about the characters. And that's the best thing about these films. You really get invested in these characters. And while we're talking about characters in this movie, you can't overlook Gerard Depardieu's performance. He plays the character Santini, who is a homophobic jock factory employee who is duped by a fellow colleague played by Thierry Lhermitte that he must treat Pignon very well or risk losing his job. And this leads to many hilariously awkward scenes that subsequently drive Santini mad and he ends up in a nut house. Gerard Depardieu is hilarious. His character is so uncouth and so uninhibited by social norms that when he's expected to act in a certain way out of his comfort zone, his mannerisms and inclinations are so awkward and uncomfortable that you can't help but laugh.
Ça roulait mal aujourd'hui.
Oui.
Et à Paris, quand ça roule mal, ça roule mal. Hein. Je suis content pour ton licenciement. Enfin, je veux dire, je suis content que ça s'arrange.
Merci.
Ça me fait plaisir, t'es un bon élément. Hein. Je voulais te dire que j'étais désolé pour ton pépin au rugby. Là.
Bon, ça va, c'est oublié.
Non, parce qu'on me prend pour une espèce de grosse brute, c'est vrai, mais... Ouais, j'ai ma sensibilité comme tout le monde, quoi. Moi, ce que j'aime dans le rugby, c'est les douches.
Ah bon?
Oui.
Les douches.
Pas les douches elles-mêmes, je veux dire, parce que les douches, on peut en prendre ailleurs qu'au rugby, quoi.
Eh oui.
Ouais, comment dire? Quand t'as un copain nu sous la douche, tu vois ce que je veux dire?
Non.
Mais si. Quand t'as un copain tout nu sous la douche et que tu lui savonnes le... Quoi, qu'est-ce qu'il y a, hein? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
Vous avez choisi le vin, monsieur?
Donnez-moi la carte. Qu'est-ce que je disais?
Que tu savonnais tes copains sous la douche.
Je disais ça, moi. Ah ouais, je disais ça.
If you're looking for a screwball comedy or crude humor, you're probably looking in the wrong place, because The Closet in a Nutshell is a nicely paced, subtle French comedy in the same vein as like Welcome to the Sticks, in that it's got a nice balance of mild humor and slapstick, and at just under 1.5 hours it hits all the marks and leaves you entertained. So it definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Guys, I'd just like to say thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share and like. And I would really appreciate if you guys could do that. I'm just in the opening stages of this website and I'm trying to understand YouTube, and I appreciate all the help you can give me. And I'd like to hear back from you. I'd like to get some discussion, some feedback on what you thought about these movies, because obviously I'm here because I love cinema and you're watching this because you love cinema. So let's get that rolling. Okay? Until next time, I'm Paddy McManus.